When PlayStation first debuted in 1995 in North America, it was a total game changer. From demo booths with Battle Arena Tushenden to the demo disc that came with the console, Sony led the charge with its vast library of diverse titles. Some of those games spanned across the next generations, while others were lost due to fierce competition or loss of interest. Just like the jump from 2D to 3D games, PlayStation VR is the next evolution in gaming, and we truly believe there's no better time for some of the more fan-favorite series dating back from PS1 to PS3 to make a comeback. So whether it be for the current gen or the PS5, which is just around the corner, here are 5 PlayStation classics that need to be revived in VR. Jet Moto was developed by SingleTrack and released in 1996. Originally intended as a motocross game, the team felt something was off, so decided to scrap the wheels and turn it into a futuristic hoverbike racer instead. The game became popular enough to spawn 2 sequels, and even another that was eventually cancelled for development delays. So, how would it be resurrected? Racing is a genre that is rather thin on PSVR, yet works so well. Wipeout has proven that losing the VR training wheels and throwing gamers behind the handles of a fast-paced and futuristic racer can make for some of the most memorable and fun experiences. Bring back the variety of tracks and racers, receive cheers for pulling off stunts, and this time, put the player in first person and they'll be glued to the edge of their seat. Cool Borders was first developed by WEP Systems and released on December 31st, 1996. The series was always simple in design, but received lots of praise for its selection of boards and the overall thrilling experience of performing jumps and tricks while racing. It helped pave the way for many more extreme sports games, which unfortunately led to its demise trying to compete against the likes of Tony Hawk Pro Skater and SSX. Still, Cool Borders 2 remains a cult classic, and the franchise deserves a proper reboot. So, how would it be done? Any snowboarding game from a design standpoint wouldn't actually be that hard to do. It could utilize head tracking while standing to control speed and turning, while combining using motions and face buttons to perform different tricks and maneuvers. Even with a simplistic approach, the thrill of racing downhill at fast speeds and pulling off tricks while getting massive air is something that can only be enhanced by the immersion of VR, and could once again pave the way for many extreme sports titles on the platform.
Andy, good!
Jumping Flash was co-developed by Exact and Ultra and released in November of 1995. For what initially began as a tech demo, it turned out not to only have positive reception, but also set a Guinness Book of World Record for being the first platform video game in true 3D. It featured first-person shooting and sky-high jumping mechanics, all across a variety of colorful and animated stages full of other robotic animals. Its success also led to 2 sequels, but the final one was developed by a new team and wasn't as well received as its predecessors. So how would it work? The series never really garnered any other criticism other than for its short length and lack of challenging difficulty. What made Jumping Flash special was the overall experience. It's an experience that PlayStation VR is now notorious for elevating. It could be played sitting down with the DualShock 4 and use head tracking for aiming as you bounce around a variety of stages. The game wouldn't even have to be very long, because the important part would be all about the experience, but something the length of the 2 originals combined and some additional difficulties would be welcome. The Resistance series was developed by Insomniac Games and debuted in 2006. It was met with a lot of praise for being a PS3 launch title, and the alien-infested World War II first-person shooter has spawned a handful of sequels ever since. It was known for its story-driven campaign, co-op, and insanely high player count for its PvP online multiplayer. It was always evolving, adding the sharpshooter by the 3rd entry and improving on its graphics and presentation. But ultimately, the servers were shut down and the migration to the Vita just didn't live up to the console versions. So, how could it come back? Personally, With how well horror works in VR, I would love to see an action horror campaign set in the Resistance universe and be designed with the aim controller in mind. As a single-player horror shooter, there wouldn't be any need for online servers, and it could deliver an impactful experience and be set in another alternate point in time in history. Twisted Metal was originally developed by Singletrack in 1995, but is currently owned by Santa Monica Studios. Even though the PS3 reboot received critical praise, the overall sales told a different story, mostly due to major changes in what made this vehicular combat title popular in the first place. But even though the switch to a multiplayer focus didn't work out so well, the destructible environments and fast, chaotic gameplay was a reminder that if done correctly, it will always be mentioned with the greatest of all time. So, how does it live again? Have the player choose a driver associated with a certain vehicle and let them experience their story through first person. Some might even remember there being a first person mode in the original game, which would work perfectly in terms of immersion and gameplay in VR. With a variety of single player stages and a dark, story driven campaign, Twisted Metal could make a comeback for the ages, restoring the legacy it deserves to be remembered by. Well, that's it for the top PlayStation classics that need to be revived for VR. Let us know which of these games you would like to see the most in the comment section down below, and if there are any others you'd like to see as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and for everything PSVR related, stay tuned to PSVR Without Parole.